Good evening, and welcome to tonight's conversation about the Scarborough Subway Extension Project. My name is Joseph Thornley. I'm the CEO of 76 Engage, which is Metrolinx's public engagement partner for virtual consultation. And it's my pleasure to be the moderator for this evening's event. In that role, I'll work to keep the event on time, ensure your questions are answered as completely as possible, and that as many questions are answered as possible. One important note, if you require closed captioning, you can simply click on the CC icon at the bottom of your screen and that will bring up closed captioning. So tonight, we're also being joined by the tunnel constructor Scarborough, who will provide updates on current construction activity and answer all of your tunnel related questions. We have scheduled this session to last 1 hour. There'll be a presentation, and then we'll answer as many questions as possible. We will begin the Q&A session by drawing on the written questions that you can see on the screen where you are, right below where the video is. And I'd encourage you to take a second to look at the questions that are there and vote for the questions you'd most like to hear answered live on tonight's session. And of course, if you don't see a question there and you would like it answered, you can always add it, and Metrolinx will circle back later on and ensure that all of the major questions are answered, all the topics are covered. In addition to the written questions, we also have a call-in option tonight. If you look below the video, you'll see a yellow Join Zoom button. You can click on that button and you can join Georgina Collymore, who is in the Zoom room. And in the second half of the question and answer session, if you're there, Georgina will be taking questions in the order in which people put their hand up, and you'll be able to be heard asking your question to the panel. If you are in the Zoom room, we'd ask you to try and keep your question to 1 minute to 2 minutes in length, simply because we want to get as many questions in tonight as possible. So again, if you require closed captioning, just click on the CC at the bottom of your screen and you'll see your captions. So I'd now like to introduce our panel. Ross Bain is a senior project manager on the Scarborough Subway Extension project. With him is Mike Hodge, program sponsor for the SSE team, and they're joined by Jenny Matheru, who is a sponsor on the SSE team. We also have, as I mentioned earlier, Thomas Tuzinski, a representative of the construction coordinator Scarborough for the SSE tunnel construction. Welcome, Ross, Mike, Jenny, and Thomas. Jenny, I think that you're going to pick up now.
Hi there, can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, great. So we're going to start off with the land acknowledgement. Metrolinx acknowledges that it operates on the traditional territory of Indigenous people, including the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. In particular, these lands are covered by 20 treaties, and we have a responsibility to recognize and value the rights of Indigenous nations and peoples and to conduct business in a manner that is built on the foundations of trust, respect, and collaboration. Metrolinx is committed to building meaningful relationships with the Indigenous peoples and to working towards meaningful reconciliation with the original caretakers of this land. I'm going to move into a safety moment. Safety is a cornerstone at Metrolinx, and safety is a key commitment to our communities that we operate and build in. As excavation works begin at site, at the launch shaft site at Shepherd and McCowan, we're encouraging residents to be aware of the increased truck activity that's going to be occurring. There's going to be a lot of activity. We can expect to see a truck every 5 to 7 minutes or so. It's going to increase as activity on the site increases, so please do look both ways when crossing the driveway. There are driveways along both Shepherd and on McCowan. And if you see something, please do say something and contact our team. Our number is posted. Please stick to the designated viewing areas to see what's happening. And there are some slides further down showing the neat things that we've added to site for the public. And I'm just going to turn it over to Ross, who's going to sort of segue into the construction aspect of this project.
Hi, everyone. As Jenny mentioned, I'm Ross Bain. I'm with our construction team, and I'm going to just give a brief overview of where we're sitting today with the project, where we've come over the last number of months since we talked to you last May. And then what I'm hoping you're here for tonight, we're going to introduce Thomas from our tunnel constructor and talk about who they are and how they're going to deliver this project for us, but more importantly for you. As some of you will know, but maybe not all, the journey with Strawbag began officially on March 5th, and that is when Metrolinx and Infrastructure Ontario identified Strawbag as the team to design, build, and finance the tunnel for the Scarborough subway extension. This is the first major contract as part of this project. The next one is actually a few bullets down. I'll explain, but this is a large contract, and they basically hit the ground running as soon as they were identified. For those who drive past the Shepherd and McCowan intersection, you'll notice it has changed a lot over the last number of months. We've installed our wooden hoarding around the job site. Both for safety and security reasons. And behind that, we've done a lot of work. And the first things we did was to demo the existing or pre-existing Ford and Nissan car dealerships, and then move on with what has been the main focus over the last number of months, which Thomas will talk about, the construction of the launch shaft, which is where the tunnel will start. And we need to build a launch shaft so that we can get our tunnel boring machine, or TBM. You'll see that acronym appear a few times today, and then when we come back to talk to you in future months, this is where the TBM starts its journey. So it will be starting from Shepherd and working its way south towards Kennedy. I have a slide on the next slide that'll show what that looks like. But sorry, Daniel, the trigger word. Next slide. So the launch shaft is in progress. To support that excavation, the first step we needed to do was some piling activities. Thomas will explain that. We've now moved past that. We're into the next stage of work, and Jenny just talked about all the trucks that are going to be moving the dirt out of the excavation shaft. But work is moving forward. In parallel with this, for the past number of months and continuing for the next number of months, there's going to be ongoing what we call preparatory works, which is a big umbrella term for many different things. Geotechnical work, which is where you'll see small to medium-sized drill rigs out either on the road, so on Shepherd or Danforth or Eglinton, drilling to verify the soil conditions in the ground. You'll also see similar types of drill rigs out installing instrumentation, and that's very important to make sure that as the TBM is going through, that everything is staying where it's supposed to. We have a very aggressive monitoring program. Survey work, again, links with the instrumentation, but also to verify property lines, elevations, and all that we need to deliver a complex construction project. And then the final thing that we call preparatory works would be the utility relocations. And that could be new power lines, either above ground, underground, gas line relocations, and telecoms, which could involve any number of the major providers in the area. So that work is continuing. The second to last bullet, though, I mentioned there were two contracts. The first contract, the tunnel contract, which Strawbag is in the process of executing, is well underway. The next major contract is what we are going to call the SRS contract. Again, we live in acronyms here, so I won't. There's no test. You don't have to remember them at the end of the presentation, but it will be to build the stations, to install the rails in the tunnel, and to install all the systems, which, from a simplistic point of view, is everything that makes it work. So all the wires, all the power, the lighting, everything, the signaling, everything inside the tunnels that will allow the subway to continue to run. So that contract, we reached an important milestone for us. just over a week ago, on September 27th, we released that to the market. So it goes through a number of different steps. The step that we're in now is called the request for qualification process. That will allow us to identify shortlisted qualified bidders, and then we move on to the more detailed request for proposal process. But again, that's something we'll be coming back and giving regular updates to this group on. So now, Daniel, next slide, please. But our focus tonight, and again, we're introducing Strawbag, our tunneling constructor, is to talk about what's happening with the tunnel contract. So as I'm sure everybody here knows, we are building a 3-stop extension of Line 2, starting at Kennedy Station in the east, continuing along Eglinton, turning up Danforth and heading north on McCowan, terminating at Shepherd and McCowan, with stops at Lawrence, Scarborough Centre, and Shepherd. So along with the tunneling work, what has to happen? There are some major features that need to go in. One is the installation of a launch shaft, which Thomas is going to talk about. That work's been happening at McCowan and Shepherd for the past number of months. The second point is, or the second major work will be the extraction shaft, and that will be at Midland and Eglinton. That's where the TBM, once it has finished its drive, that's where it will be lifted out of the ground. There will be a number of head walls, which is where that basically form the two ends of the future stations. So they will be built along the way. There's 5 of those that need to be built. And then there's 14 other head walls that need to be built as part of the emergency exit buildings, which are evenly spaced along the line to, as they suggest, provide an escape route in case of emergency. The final point, and actually we make this twice here, because this is important. We are excited about this. The TBM is being constructed now, and as we and other tunneling, whether CTC have done it at times, we want to give the TBM a name. So we're going to be working with the community to find a fun name for this TBM, and we know that people will be interested to track its progress as it comes. I'll make mention of that again later in the presentation. But the reason why I hope you're here is to meet our tunnel constructor, Strawbag, and Thomas Tuzinski, who's one of the construction coordinators on their team, is here tonight to provide us that introduction. So I'll pass it over to Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ross, and I think we can go to the next slide. Yes. So my name is Thomas Tuzinski. I'm the construction coordinator for Strawbag for the Scarborough subway extension, and I would like to give a short introduction into our company. So Strawbag is an Austrian-based company and a global leader in the tunneling technologies. We built its transportation infrastructure in more than 60 countries and are currently having around 75,000 people employed, which are roughly working in over 80 countries all over the world. We're bringing together people, material, and machinery at the right place, at the right time, and to deliver complex projects. On schedule, of course, in the highest quality and at the best price. For this project, Strawbag's scope of work is basically to build the launching shaft, of course, then building the extraction shaft. Additional to this, 5 head walls for the future station that was we're just describing alongside the alignment, and 14 head walls for the future emergency exit buildings that we will have alongside the alignment. Next slide, please. So here we see a tunneling timeline for our project and for the scope of Strawbag that we are doing for the Scarborough subway extension. And we see the years 2021, where we're currently in, and up to our contract up to 2024 and beyond. So we as Strawbag at the moment, we started the excavation works at the launching shaft 1 location. The previous months we have been completing the piling works, and now started since roughly 1 to 2 weeks with excavation works, and at the moment pre-stressing our tiebacks at the location. So as you see for the launching shaft preparation have been completed almost, and we're now starting with the excavation to preparing our launching shaft for the arrival of the TBM, and then as well as the assembly of the TBM and at the launching shaft location. For the tunnel boring machine by itself, at the moment, during this week, we have the factory acceptance test going on in Schwanau in Germany, where our producer Herrenknecht is basically showing us our TBM machine, which then will be disassembled and get made ready for transport to get it shipped to Toronto, Canada, basically, which should arrive in the end of December, beginning of January. And then starting through the middle of the year, we will build the TBM on the LS1 location and lower down the TBM to start the tunneling, basically, operations during our alignment. For the station head walls, we will start in the April, May with starting of the construction of the head walls alongside the alignment. We will see us in certain places, most of them at the beginning close to the launching shaft area and then following down the alignment base to Kennedy. And in terms of the extraction shaft, we will start next year of taking over the land there and as well as starting some demolition works and then preparing the site to build the extraction shaft, which also will be done by piling works and then excavate to a certain depth to wait for the TBM to be arriving at the extraction shaft. Next slide, please. So here we have some good examples of our work we have done in the past couple of months. And in terms of dust mitigation, what we did during the summer was quite hot here in Ontario. We used a street sweeper to keep the roads clean since a lot of trucks were leaving our side. And as well on the right-hand side, you can see the excavation works that are going on the launching shaft 2, launching shaft 1, excuse me. Next slide, please. Yeah, in these two pictures, we can see the permanent hoarding that we placed there around, and it's finally installed with some also viewing points that we have installed into the hoarding, which gives the pedestrians the possibility also to look to the site. So please feel free to use it as well. And on the right-hand side, we can see the piling activities. For the time now, we removed all our piling equipment from site and are basically focusing now on the excavation work as well as the preparation works on launching shaft 1 to get the TBM delivered to launching shaft 1 and build it up on site. Next slide, please. And I think this slide is dedicated to Ross, and I would like to hand it over to Ross. Thank you very much.
Well, dedicated to Ross is a bit of a push, but no, thanks, Thomas. And I just want to reiterate how excited we are to have Strawbag on board with us. They an Austrian-based company, but have been in Canada for many years, and we like to remind people of that because this is not their first venture here, and we feel very confident with the partner that we have selected. So, you know, just some quick highlights. Strawbag has the project that brought them to Canada was the Niagara Tunnel expansion, or not expansion. It was a tunnel that brought water from above Niagara River down to the Sir Adam Beck generating station. Fascinating project. I saw that earlier in my career, but another story. What's next? On the left slide, on the left of this slide is the TBMs being assembled. So this is the next. I mean, for the next number of months, we're going to be digging a hole, which is interesting, but I think most in the construction world would say it's not exciting. It starts to get exciting once the equipment shows up. And as Thomas mentioned, actually, as we speak, some of our colleagues are in Germany inspecting the machine for its final checks before it's taken apart. And then loaded up and shipped by boat to Canada. So it's assembly has been going on for a number of months, and we are now at the final stages. So very exciting. The equipment is expected to arrive in the early, the dark of the winter and early spring next year, and be assembled and as Thomas mentioned, ready to run in springtime next year. On the left is a picture of the Eglinton Crosstown TBMs being assembled at the launch shaft. And actually, just I don't know if it's been mentioned enough here, but one of the things that we're doing on this project, which is unique, is there will be only a single TBM. So the picture on the left has two tunnels for Eglinton Crosstown for the east and west trains. On the Scarborough project, we will have one tunnel, one giant tunnel. The tunnel of the TBM itself is 12 meters in diameter. The inside will be a little bit less than that for the concrete liners. But this is a very big tunnel, certainly for a subway application. So certainly well within Strabag's capability, well within Heron Connect. I'm probably butchering the German pronunciation, but that's where the machine is being manufactured. If anybody's interested, you look up Schwanau as again, I'm not very good with pronunciation. Schwanau. It's a small town in Germany, and it's one of those towns where the only industry in the town is the plant that makes the TBM. It's coming, it's on its way, and we're very excited to have that come, and that's why we're going to make a big deal of it and have a naming contest, and we'll be coming to the community to talk about that in the coming weeks and months. So that's really what's upcoming: excavation, tunnel, or TBM, disassembly, shipment, and then assembly will be happening over the next number of months. So Daniel, we'll go to the next slide, and this is actually our last slide. We should have a contact slide at the end, which essentially this is just a reminder to everybody here, and I know Joseph and others will help remind people that we are here. If you have questions, please send them to us, whether it's in a forum like this tonight, or any other time you want to get in touch with us, whether it's by email, through our portal online, or by phone. Our 416-202-7900 number is very prominently displayed at the construction sites, and you'll see that around. It will be the same number for this project. If you have a question, if you have a concern, if you, as Jenny mentioned earlier, if you see something that does not look correct, a safety concern, an environmental concern, don't hesitate to call EMS if it first, call 911. But do let us know, and we will take action. It is a number that is. There is a human, as we like to say, who will answer the phone day or night. We do have a service overnight that will field calls as well. So we are here and happy to help. Joseph, I think back to you, and hopefully I didn't talk for too long there.
Not at all. Thank you, Ross. And that was interesting. It's great to actually see the thing being built. So tunneling. The first question tonight is about the challenge of tunnel building, where you're doing it, about the state of the land and the water table. So the question is, I've heard that the geology of Scarborough, says our questioner, no bedrock, high water table, making tunneling in Scarborough a challenge. For example, the previous plan for the STC station involved residential towers that did not have underground parking because of the high water table. How are you addressing these challenges, and can they cause delays?
Yeah, thank you. I think I can answer the question in terms of the challenges that we have on this project here, and especially in terms of the geology under the tunnel road, which includes fill, gravel, sand, silt, and clay, and of course, a combination between all the different units that we have here under the ground. So building a tunnel in an urban area like Scarborough is a challenging project, especially when a certain stretch of the tunnel includes low overburden, flowing traffic, buildings, utilities, and essential services. So for this project, Strabag is really paying attention closely to the controlling of the volume loss and the settlements around the tunnel and on the surface. To successfully manage this, a comprehensive monitoring program will be installed and operated through the tunneling process. So we having a lot of experts on our projects here, and we're getting a lot of knowledge into the project here, and we hope that this will satisfy our client.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to ask a related question from a questioner who says we really need a subway station at Scarborough City Centre. So hopefully the timeline of 2030 is realistic. Can you talk about what are the main drivers of the timeline and what's being done to try and maintain it?
So I can take this one. So the Scarborough, the extension is expected to be complete by 2030. And we have split the contract into two contracts. The first is the advanced tunnel, and the second is the station rail and systems contract, which Ross touched on earlier. We have issued the RFQ. And one of the main drivers for splitting these contracts was really to sort of stick to these timelines and delivery date by 2030. And so as we are here today, we are talking about the tunnel contract. It's well underway. We're building, we're in the ground, and the next contract should follow soon after.
Okay, while we're talking about Scarborough, the station, there's a person who's asked a question and has seen some pictures that show roughly where the station is going to be. Can you provide a precise location for the Scarborough station?
So we can share that I believe it was identified in the 2020 EPR addenda. The location of the station will be just the northeast corner of Progress and McCowan. There is a pretty large swath of land there, so that will be the future site of a bus terminal that's going to be servicing the area, as well as the new entrance to the station.
Okay, thank you. And while you're on that, Scarborough, you mentioned the bus terminal. Another questioner was asking about the additional things, ventilation staffs. Will you be constructing parking and other things? What all else is involved in the station?
So I will start, but this is probably a little bit more technical, and we might have to defer to Strawbag here to answer some of these. But we will be constructing all of the infrastructure required to support the transit, the extension. So that's going to include, we have the bus terminals, we've got the station, and with the station, we also have traction power substations that are going to be needed to power the extension. There will be emergency exit buildings. They're not going to be located on this specific site for the Scarborough Centre station, but they will be located throughout the alignment, which Ross did touch on. Also on the site, there will be ventilation. So we will have vent shafts, and they are going to be located predominantly within the road right-of-way. So they'll be flush with grade. They're not going to be protruding out anywhere. So those are some of the main sort of supporting infrastructure that's going to be required for the extension. I'm not sure if Ross or anybody wants to add to that, but I think that's pretty complete.
I don't think there's too much to add to that, Jenny, but certainly if there's other questions in the Zoom room on that same theme, we can try to add some more details.
Okay, let's go north to Shepherd. Our questioner is indicating knowledge of the plan to extend the Shepherd subway line to meet the Scarborough extension in the future. Are you planning for that future extension in the construction you're going to be doing now? In other words, are you doing things that would provide for the extension and avoid having to dig up streets and a major second construction project there at that station?
So I'll take this one as well. So I think this is something that we're always forward thinking, and we are always looking ahead. So as the terminus station is at Shepherd and McCowan, we are making sure that in the designs that are being developed, and we will share a little bit more as we further refine them, but we are protecting for future expansions north and east and west. So we're making sure not to preclude any extensions from happening in future.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to switch gears, and I know that we're here to talk about the tunneling, but there is a question that's been voted up by several people about the train sets themselves, the cars, and whether or not this project is going to provide funding for new trains at the time of the extension.
So,
anybody want to tackle that?
So I can start, and I'm going to maybe ask if Mike wants to add to this. But yes, there will be new trains that are going to be procured as part of this extension. The TTC will be procuring trains for Line 2. They are looking to upgrade their existing fleet. And so we're working closely with the province and with the TTC to figure out how we can work together to make sure that the trains are procured in the appropriate timeline to meet the 2030 delivery date.
Okay, thank you for that. Can we talk a bit about the SRT shutdown? When is it shutting down, and riders then switching over to buses until the subway is constructed?
I'm talking a lot here, but I can take this one as well. So the current plans, the decision to shut down the SRT is a TTC decision, and they have initially shared that they are planning to shut down operations of the SRT in 2023. And so they have evaluated a couple of options, which they have actually shared with their board this past September. They're evaluating their options right now, and they plan to come back to their board in 2022. We are working closely with them to understand what their plans are and to see how we can make sure that we work together to maintain operations of the buses to make sure that they are able to make it through to Kennedy Station in the most expeditious manner possible, given that our construction is also underway at the same time.
Okay, and could the plans involve more GO trains from Agincourt, for example, or new or expanded temporary bus terminals? Will Metrolinx be helping the city in that way, the TTC in that way?
So that's a great question. Yes, I think there are opportunities definitely to see how we can work collaboratively to see where there are opportunities, especially around GO and Agincourt. With respect to the temporary bus terminals, with the additional bus volumes that will be leaving Scarborough Town Centre Station right now, in 2023, there is going to be, TTC has expressed there is going to be a need to have a temporary bus facility at Kennedy Station. So we are working with them right now to figure out what that will look like. So yes,
okay,
there will.
Thank you for that, Jenny. Let me just switch over a bit and see whether or not this gives you a bit of a break. There's a question about accommodating an Eglinton East LRT construction. And the questioner is indicating that a Metrolinx map on how transit in the GTA will look in the future had the Eglinton East LRT on it. The TTC plan for Eglinton East LRT requires it to be underground on Eglinton until it reaches Midland. The SSE plan requires cut and cover on Eglinton up to Midland. If Eglinton East LRT is going to be a future transit project, is it prudent? Is it possible? Are you considering roughing in the underground portion of the LRT while you're constructing the SSE? Does that make sense in the world of your kind of construction? Can you do that?
So I can say we are working with the City of Toronto today on their plans for Eglinton East LRT extension. And we're aware of that project, and they're aware of the Scarborough project. So we are working together to understand each other's plans. And as we build the tunnel and also the future station work, we'll keep the city informed as to what we're doing so that they can plan accordingly. They are two different projects and two very different timelines. And so we can only go so far in terms of trying to accommodate two projects at once, but we can certainly, from a planning and design perspective, make sure that we don't do anything that interferes with future transit works.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We're going through the written questions really quickly. So if there's anybody who wants to ask a question out loud, just click on the Join Zoom, and Gina Collymore is over there, and you'll be able to get your question asked without any doubt. So let me ask a question about line 4. If you're going to extend line 2 to Shepherd, shouldn't you also extend line 4 to Shepherd and McCowan to create an eastern loop in the subway system and provide better connection between North York and Scarborough? Is that something that you're considering, has been in the plans, might be in the plans?
Certainly, it's in the it's in the planning stages. It's been talked about. It was referenced in the provincial budget in 2019, I want to say, and that a future Shepherd subway or Shepherd extension would take place after the Scarborough subway extension opens.
Okay, so it's in the plans vaguely, generally, for the future.
Yeah, and we're also, as we've mentioned earlier, making provisions at
Yes.
Shepherd and McCowan for future extensions.
But you are not making an announcement tonight.
Nope.
Okay, very good. I want to ask a question. Tunneling. You're going down into the ground. One questioner would like to know where the earth that you're excavating is going to be taken to.
Sure, I take this question. And so the material from the tunnel that we will drill through the Scarborough line will be dedicated to facilities where we decided basically to dump it. So we will have a track record and everything in place. And at the moment we are visiting sites to identify the right areas and the right locations. And until we start with the tunneling activities, the dedicated spots will be then identified from us.
Okay. Thank you. Platforms. This question I've seen come up a few times in various regards. Can you describe a bit about the station platform configuration? This comes from someone who's concerned about riders with low vision considerations and how they'll be able to navigate the platforms, center island platforms, side platforms. Could you talk a bit about that, please, for someone who may be interested in accessibility?
I can take this one. So we can confirm that there will be side platforms at Lawrence and at Scarborough Centre Station. Mainly because we do have a single tunnel that's being constructed, and so the tracks are going to be in the center, and so as a result, the platforms are automatically going to be on either side. The entire line, including the station buildings, access points, elevators, and ramps, will meet and exceed all necessary accessibility standards. So we're very conscious of AODA requirements, and we're working very closely to make sure that all aspects of these are incorporated within the project.
Okay, thank you. Thinking again, another question about people thinking about using what you build. The pedestrian connection to Scarborough Town Centre. Will there be an enclosed bridge between the new station and the Scarborough Town Centre, the mall, like with the current Line 3 station? And how will people be able to move back and forth? What will the connection be like?
So I can start, and then if others want to add. So the existing station, as it stands, is directly south of the shopping center. The new station is going to be located about 500 meters east of the existing station. So to have a bridge connection directly from the station location to the shopping center, it's quite a distance, an above grade bridge. However, what is happening right now is the city is undertaking a Scarborough Centre study, and as part of that, they will be looking at pedestrian connections throughout the area, including to and from the shopping center, as well as other destinations like the Civic Center to the subway station. And so we are working closely. We're part of that active engagement with them, and I know they're going to be bringing that to the public. So as part of that process, we'll be looking at what these pedestrian connections look like to make sure that we are bringing the best solutions forward to the public.
Okay, thank you for that, Jenny. We're getting close to the end of the questions, so I'm going to, there are a couple questions that people have asked during the meeting, written questions. So, and I see that Georgina doesn't have any questions in the Zoom room yet. So one of them that has just come in a short time ago is about the cost of construction. And indeed, I see that Georgina does have a question, so we'll go to you right after this one, Georgina. But in terms of the cost, the questioner feels that the costs of the construction that we have here in the GTHA for Metrolinx, that they seem to be higher than in other comparable areas. I don't know the comparable areas, but are there opportunities for reducing costs, and what are you doing in order to ensure cost control? This is obviously a taxpayer who's asking. So can you talk a bit about keeping costs down and managing cost, please?
Sure, I'm happy to speak to that. And it really comes back to our approach and how we manage our contracts and how we procure our contractors. Our procurements are competitive. So we do have market participation clearly from around the world, as we see with Strawbag building our tunnel. So we do competitively procure our contracts, and then we also we're very proactive in how we manage them. We try to anticipate delays and issues and work to either mitigate those or eliminate them where we can. And then our contracts also allocate risks and who is responsible for risks and who is responsible for cost overruns if those risks materialize. Projects like these do have risks, and there are unexpected discoveries that sometimes come up. And so our contracts do have a method in place to deal with that. But I think generally it's between the competitive procurement, how we manage our contracts, and how we assign risk.
Okay, I'm sure the question of cost, people will be monitoring that closely over time. These are big projects, as you say, and thank you for that answer, Mike. Just before we go to the Zoom room, I think, Ross, to the question earlier about the trains, that you want to add some information at this stage?
Yeah, just quickly, Joseph, I won't spend too much time on this, but there was a question on this, and Jenny answered it partly by saying that the TTC, through their own program, is looking to upgrade and replace a portion, if not all, of the Line 2 fleet. That's a separate initiative, but as part of us adding this length to the line, we are working with the TTC to add new train sets, and right now the number seems to be projecting about 7 new train sets would be added to meet the additional 7 kilometers of tunnel. It's still being worked through, but again, it's being done in concert with the TTC because obviously it's all the same network that they'll be operating on. So I just wanted to add that for a little bit of context. I was able to find a bit more of an answer to help out Jenny. But yeah, thanks, Joseph.
Thank you for that. Thanks for the real-time additional info. So you've heard enough of me. Let's go over to Gina Collymore in the Zoom room. I believe that she has some people who'd like to ask questions of you. Gina?
Hi, Joseph. Thanks for throwing to me.
Hi.
Our first question is from Glenn. Glenn, I'm going to ask that you unmute yourself so that you can ask your question live.
Okay, great. Am I on now?
We can hear you.
Unmuted
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, everybody. 2 quick questions. One is about me asking, what exactly is a station head wall? And, will we as pedestrians or car drivers, will we actually see a big wall sticking out of the ground? Or will it be a big hole that we can look into? What is that? Or will it be invisible if I drive along McCowan Road? And then I guess the second question is, maybe other than the launch shafts, again, like we drive along Eglinton Avenue and it's topsy-turvy because of all the construction and it's a very, very bumpy ride. During the tunnel construction, will we experience, I imagine there'll be some traffic interruption at Midland and Eglinton. Maybe you can confirm that, yes or no. But if you're driving along Eglinton or McCowan or along Shepherd, will there be pylons and jersey barriers and uneven asphalt and pavement all chopped up, or will we just drive to work or to the shopping mall as always? So I guess my first question is, what is a station head wall, and will we actually know that you're building one? And the second question is, will the construction be, for all intents and purposes, invisible under the ground, or will we have bumpy car rides?
Ross, perhaps you could start with an explanation of the head walls and
Sure.
what's involved in constructing those and what they look like.
Sure, I'll give it a bit of a stab, but I also wouldn't mind Thomas helping us out here as the constructor who's actually building them. So that the head walls, Glenn, and thank you for the question. The head walls are simply, as they suggest, a curtain that goes underground. And it's of what we call it's a combination of lean mixed concrete and structural steel that the TBM is actually going to drive through these walls as they go. As the TBM goes forward. And what the walls allow us to do is when we excavate for the future building or for the future station, it provides two walls of the bathtub. That if you picture an underground excavation, there will be, ultimately it has four sides. But in order for the TBM to go through, we need to build the first two sides that are perpendicular to the direction of travel of the TBM. So that's essentially what it is. It's underground. It's two walls of a future four-wall bathtub. That the other two walls get built before we start the excavation, but the first two walls need to be there because we can't build the wall around the tunnel after the tunnel has gone through. They will be fully below grade, so you won't see them. You will see them being constructed, but you won't see the concrete and reinforced concrete structure that's below ground. So it will be similar to the sort of equipment that you would have seen at the launch shaft at Shepherd and McCown if you were driving by. So the piling rigs, which allow us to auger the holes down into the ground, which we then place concrete and steel into. Thomas, how did I do? Anything I should mention on the head walls?
No, that was quite good. Like as you were mentioned, basically the TBM is running through these head walls, and you will see during the construction of the head walls that there will be some work. We will be doing it, and it also will be done in a couple of stages that we try to not to impact the traffic too much at these locations. So we try really to stay in our lines, and then later on when we move from site, that there will be a clean surface and you will not basically have the experience of the bumpy roads. So this will be our goal. And in terms of traffic, and coming to the second question, especially on the extraction shaft alongside Eglinton, we will do a road diversion there to basically extract the machine from the ground. And for this, you will see some impact on the traffic, and later on as well, Ross, right, on the station construction that you will have.
Yeah. Sorry, Jenny or somebody?
No, I was not going to talk about the construction stuff. That's you guys. I was just going to talk about the community interface stuff. So you do your spiel and I'll do mine.
Fair. I think the other point to mention is in terms of these head walls, we need the head wall to be in place before the TBM drives through them. So in general, we will be working from north to south, working our way towards Eglinton and Midland. It won't be exactly in that sequence because some of them take longer to build than others. Some of them are deeper. It has to do with the subsurface conditions. So some of them we need to start, some of the ones that are further south, we need to start ones that are further north. But in general, each of the head wall construction areas is about it's a few months. It's not, we're not going to be in those areas for a year. It will be for a few months. And in that time, we need to detour traffic around them. So some of them are off to the side of the road. So then it's a shift just east or west of all of the lanes on McCown. In other areas, the head wall is right in the middle of the road, and we have to shift around, and that's just a function of where the tunnel is relative to the road above. But we have obligations to certainly to keep the road open, to keep it flowing in as efficiently a manner as possible. with a mind not only for connections for vehicles, but also for pedestrians in the area. So we're certainly conscious of the fact that this is a very active community, and people need and want to be able to move around both for work, for pleasure, and other reasons. So I think that answers the traffic question as well. I heard bumpy road and the condition of the asphalt. In general, it will be a smooth and certainly safe road to drive on. There are not going to be situations where it's a gravel road, for instance. It will be an asphalt road, but there will be diversions where we're taking traffic around the different construction areas. I should mention at the extraction shaft, which is at Midland and Eglinton, there will be a bigger realignment of that temporary realignment of that intersection to allow for the construction of the shaft. But that's still over a year away, and our intention is to keep coming back to forums like this and others and communicating what the plan is, so that there's there's minimal surprises when that work moves ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add, with the headwall construction, as the plan starts to roll out in terms of where we're going to be, as Ross mentioned, we're going to be going from north to south. We will be engaging the community and providing notification as to when we will be in certain areas. So trying to minimize that element of surprise as much as possible, and making sure that the communities are aware of what's going to be happening before it actually happens. So we're starting that process, and we'll make sure to keep everyone plugged in.
Great, thank you very much.
Great, thank you all for answering that question, and thank you, Glenn, for being a supporter of the project. So next up, our question is coming from Yobi. Yobi, I will ask that you unmute yourself so that you can ask your question live.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay,
yes.
The first question I have, this is regarding the Scarborough subway extension. So, so the Scarborough subway extension, what will happen to the Scarborough Rapid Transit after the Scarborough subway extension is to be completed? And also the second question is, what does Shepherd East subway extension be built? And I can see that the question is answered in the the question was included in the wait, can you give me a minute? In Metrolinx Engage in the yes, the question, yes, so, but yes, those are my questions.
So I can answer the first one. The second one, I wasn't clear. I think you had mentioned that it may be on MX Engage, so may need a little bit of clarity on that one. But with respect to the first one, the SRT.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. I meant that both of the question was being asked in the Metrolinx Engage question chat. Okay, so, but yeah, those are the questions. The first question is what will happen to the Scarborough RT Rapid Transit after the Scarborough subway extension was built, and the second question is what did Shepherd East subway extension be built? I mean the extension from I think Door Mills to Scarborough Town Central.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. So the SRT, what the plans after the SSC is constructed. So the SRT is going to, as we mentioned, the plans are for it to it cease operation in 2023. The City of Toronto and the TTC are looking at potential adaptive reuse opportunities for this SRT, and they're going to be evaluating options and assessing this in the coming sort of months and years. And so I understand from them that there will be a bit of an engagement with the public on this in future. So that's to be determined. And as part of our project, we're making sure that whatever the future plans are for this aren't being precluded. So we're protecting for the ability in future, there could be an opportunity for this to become sort of like a high line similar to what was done in New York. And so as part of our project, we're making sure that we don't preclude the ability for this flexibility in future. And as for the second one, I think others might have to chime in. Mike, I may be turning to you, but for the extension of line 4, that is not part of the SSE scope. That would have to be a future project, and right now there isn't a set timeline as to when when this project will come to fruition. But it is something that we're not precluding to allow for in future. I hope that answers the 2 questions that you had.
Thank you, Jenny, for that. We'll quickly go to the next question, and that question is from Michael, or Michelle. My apologies if I said your name incorrectly. I will ask that you unmute yourself if you're still with us. Okay, I don't think he's with us anymore, but he did type out his question. Good evening. Maybe you said it, but how deep will be the tunneling? Thank you. So that's the question. How deep will the tunneling be for the tunneling contract?
So I take this question since we are doing the tunneling works there. And our tunnel will go through different alignments, but the answer for this is around 30 meters below the ground surface that we will have. We still have to see that we have a 12-meter outside diameter of a tunnel. So we're looking at the 2 to 3 story building, what's quite high. But the answer for the question is up to 30 meters down below.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Our next question is from Rafid. I also believe he has left the conversation, but he did type his question out for me. His question is, do you have the design of 4 stations? How it looks from the outside? Thank you. So I believe he just wants to know if we finalized the design yet for the stations.
So the design of the stations.
I'm going to throw to Mike and see if Mike, if you have the answer for this one.
Is he there?
Keep going, Jenny.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say that so the contract that we have right now is the tunnel contract. It's well underway. We are still working through we haven't brought on our designer, our partner, to do the stations, rail, and systems contract. As we mentioned earlier, we have issued the RFQ, and as part of that process, we're looking to bring on a partner to do the design work for the stations, rail, and systems contract. And so as part of that, we will be looking to develop the designs of the stations. And as part of that process, we're looking to engage the public a little bit more and refine the designs, but that won't be for another year or so. I don't know if there's anything anybody else wants to add on that, but that's generally where we are. One thing we can add is that we do have general sort of high level. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Gina.
My apologies, Jenny. I think you cut out for me. Oh, can continue.
No, I was just going to say that we do have sort of like massings almost, like we have a sense of where the stations will be, the general locations. And so that we'll be looking to sort of share as soon as we're just refining some details, and we are looking to share that sooner than later. But the details in terms of designs and finishes and so forth, that won't be until a little bit later on in the process.
Okay, great, Jenny. Thank you. Our next question is from Calvin. Calvin, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself so that you can go live.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Calvin. Hi.
So
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
my question is, along with the existing community, there are many planned developments within the Woodside Square Mall, which is just north of Shepherd and McCowan. So given potential demand, is it feasible to extend the line to Finch and McCowan in the future? Hello?
Jenny, did you want to take that one?
Oh, Jenny's on mute.
Yes, I'll jump in here. So it will be possible in our construction at the station at Shepherd and McCowan. We are making sure that we don't do anything that would preclude us from building an extension in the future. So absolutely.
Sorry about that. My Teams was acting up. Thanks, Mike, for answering.
Okay, did that answer?
Okay.
Sorry, I hope that answered your question, Calvin. Did you get that? Sorry, we have one more question from the Zoom room, Joseph. The last question is from Tristan. Tristan, I will ask that you unmute yourself and you can ask your last question live. Okay, I don't think he's here anymore, so I will ask his question for him. What is the plan for the bus terminal at the terminus, underground or at street level?
So we're designing. We're in still very early stages of design for each bus terminal. So at Lawrence, at Scarborough Centre, and at Shepherd. And we're only doing preliminary design because we've only just issued a request for qualifications, which is the first step in the procurement of a design partner that we'll be looking to bring on over the next year or so. And they will be the ones who help us bring the terminals to final design. And it's during that design process that we'll be able to share a little bit more with the community in terms of what that bus terminal will look like and how it's being designed and how it's located on the site.
Well, thank you for that, Mike. And thank you, Georgina, in the Zoom room. I want to thank Ross, Thomas, Jenny, as well as Mike for your presentation and the questions tonight. We're at the end of the question and answer period. However, to those of you who participated, this is not the end of your opportunity to hear from the team and engage with them. This is the 5th meeting. There will be more meetings. In addition, you can go on the website right where you are right now, and you'll see a contact us button in the upper right-hand corner. You can go there to sign up for the mailing list. You can also email the team if you have any specific questions. Of course, you can also add questions at the bottom of the question box from tonight's meeting. Metrolinx will review the questions and cover the topics, and you'll find written responses there. And as of tomorrow morning, you'll also find a recording of tonight's presentation. Finally, you'll see that you can download the slides that were used by the team tonight. So all of the information will be there. The team will be back. There will be more opportunities to engage. I hope that you found the information useful tonight. I hope you had good answers to your questions, felt that everything was complete, and that you'll join us again at future events. So thank you, good night, and please stay safe.